Good morning, everyone. Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to another edition of Classic Live Album War. Got that right today. Today we're going to look at two gargantuan progressive rock live albums, triple albums when they were originally released. Man, that never happened too much, right? But back in the day, all right, when both of these albums were released, 1973, 1974, prog rock was at or nearing its highest mark ever, its zenith in terms of popularity around the world. And both of these bands played a big part in getting it there. Both of these bands were absolutely peaking at this time, all right, selling out large arenas, and, you know, in the mainstream, prog rock was thriving. So, of course, we're talking about Yessongs from Yes, okay, and Emerson, Lake and Palmer, also known as ELP. Welcome back, my friends, to the show that never ends, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, again, triple albums. For any of you who might still have your triple LPs, pretty cool, right? These are the deluxe reissue editions, okay, on 2 discs instead of 3 LPs. Let's take a look at each one at a time, on opposite ends of the boxing ring. So, Yessongs. Okay, here we have the lineup of John Anderson on vocals, Steve Howe on guitars, Chris Squire on bass, Rick Wakeman on keyboards, and brand new to the band, Alan White on drums, although Bill Bruford does appear on a few tracks here because they did take a couple cuts from when Bill was still in the band, all right, but the majority of the album contains Alan White on drums. A lot of really great renditions of some early Yes classics on here. Okay, so we're talking about close to the edge material going back. All right, so what have we got on here? We've got Siberian Katroo. All right, my personal favorite Yes song of all time off the Close to the Edge album. Sounding great on here. All right, what else we got? Heart of the Sunrise. Killer. Perpetual Change. And You and I. And You and I is beautiful on this live album. What else? What am I looking for? Oh, Mood for a Day. Trying to read the fine print. Little Steve Howe acoustic guitar extravaganza. We got some excerpts from The Six Wives of Henry VIII. Of course, Rick Wakeman doing his thing. Roundabout. Actually, a very good version of Roundabout. You know, I can Roundabout as a song, I am completely burnt out on, but I can still go back and listen to the version on here, which is actually really, really good. What else we got over on disc 2 of the CD? Of course, we're talking about 6 sides of vinyl originally. I've Seen All Good People. All right. What else? Long Distance Runaround, with, of course, the Fish bass solo from Squire. Killer on here. And an amazing Close to the Edge, okay, in all its entirety. Another one of my favorite Yes tracks of all time. Yours Is No Disgrace, excellent on here as well. And then kicking it all off, or finishing it all off, I should say. I've done that many times over the last couple of days. Kicking it all off should be at the beginning, Pete, not at the end. Finishing it all off, of course, epic version of Starship Trooper, right? A great album. Great live album. Probably one for most people you talk to, if not their favorite progressive rock live album of all time. It's definitely in the top 3, right? In addition, a lot of people will say this one, okay? Welcome back, my friends, to the show that never ends, sung by Greg Lake. Greg Lake, bass, vocals, a little bit of guitar. Keith Emerson, all things keyboardian. Okay, Carl Palmer on drums, gymnastica. Again, 6 sides of vinyl. It's original release. What have we got on here? Kicking it all off with Hoedown. As energetic a performance of that song as you'll ever hear. Then you got the kind of moodier Jerusalem. All right, the crazy-ass Toccata. Then you've got the lengthy epic Tarkus. Probably one of the definitive versions of Tarkus that's out there. I think it eclipses the studio version here. It's just bombastic as all hell. Then you got Take a Pebble, all right, which includes, within Take a Pebble, you got Still You Turn Me On and Lucky Man. It's kind of like a long suite, and they actually come back on disc 2, or if you had the LP on a further side of vinyl there, and finish off Take a Pedal. But in between, you got all the piano improvisations from Mr. Emerson. Okay, then you got Jeremy Bender with the Sheriff mixed in. All right, both kind of fun tunes, not typical of most of the ELP material, but fun stuff nonetheless. And then finishing it all off, I got it right that time, with Carnival 9, first, second, and third impressions. Again, probably the definitive version of that epic suite included right here. So, killer performances on both. I will say, probably neither album has the best sounding production out of a lot of live albums you'll hear. Okay? Which, not that big a deal because the performances are just absolutely stellar. But, kind of like the Blue Oyster Cult On Your Fees, On Your Knees that we spoke about the other day, probably the brilliance of the performances marred ever so slightly by, slightly muddy-ish sound quality. Okay? But not as bad. I think it suffers more on this than it does here. But both, like I said, performances are great. So what's my take on the two of these? Well, I think most of you who have been following this channel know that I'm a much bigger Yes fan than I am Emerson, Lake and Palmer. I love ELP, I do, but I'm a pretty big Yes fan, and you'd be hard pressed to find an ELP album that I like better than a Yes album. In most cases, it's not a huge gap. That's just my personal preference, right? I personally think that this album is a little long-winded. Okay. Just a little bit. I could do without the lengthy piano improvisations, all right? I mean, he's one of the best. He was one of the best keyboard players, piano players, Hammond organ players, Moog synthesizer players of all time. I get it, and I believe it. But I could have done without that. The Jeremy Bender, the Sheriff thing, yeah, okay, it's kind of whimsical fun, but you could take that off. But, with the rest, Hoedown, Jerusalem Toccata, Tarkus, Take a Pebble, including all that stuff, and of course, Carnival 9, killer. This probably, if this was kind of weeded down a bit to a double album set, hard to top that, right? However, yeah. For me, this is really a no-brainer. I mean, you got just definitive versions of a handful of tunes on here. The performances are stellar. What a debut for Alan White, who in his prime was probably one of the most underrated drummers out there. And I just think that this, Steve Howe is just on fire throughout this. Steve Howe and, Wakeman and Squire. This is just Yes at their peak. There's just no and if or buts about it. So for me, and again, just my opinion, I'm sure some of you might feel differently, this is like a fifth round KO. Okay, ELP puts up a good fight for a couple rounds, but in the end, man, there's a couple right uppercuts, a handful of stiff jabs, and then an absolute haymaker of a right put ELP away. Your winner by KO, round 5, Yessongs from Yes. Okay, but again, I think we can all agree, both great albums, both legendary prog albums. And again, no real winners or losers here. This is just me talking like we're sitting down at a bar having a beer, talking about some classic live albums, which ones we prefer and why. Okay, but I love both a lot. Okay, but if I had to choose one, I'd choose this one. But some of you may like this one better, and that's totally cool. Others may agree with me on here. There's probably going to be some of you that are like, oh my God, I love each so much I can't choose. And you know what? You don't have to choose. All right? Because the point of this show, God bless you, Tala. The point of this show is to just find two great live albums or classic albums, talk about why we like them so much, what's great about them, maybe in some cases what's not so great about them. All right, and for all of you out there who perhaps have not heard one or the other, or maybe both, now is a perfect time to rectify that issue right there and go out and listen to them, enjoy them, love them like so many of the rest of us have. And if you haven't listened to either one in a while, now is a perfect time to go slap on your CD or put that LP set on your turntable or click on your little iPod or iTunes or wherever it is you keep your music stored. Turn on your device, let it rip, crank it up, sit back, pop open a cold one or a hot one, whatever it is, or a room temperature one, whatever it is you like to do, and enjoy the prog rock majesty that is Welcome Back, My Friends, to the show that never ends, and Yessongs, two amazing, legendary, classic live albums. Go onto our Facebook page. You can place your vote to which one you prefer. Remember what we're doing here, folks, for the next probably couple months is we're doing classic live album wars. We're going to try and get to as many of them as we can. I'm going to tally the wins each week as each poll ends. I'm going to jot down the winner. And after we've gone through the ridiculously long list of live albums that I got on my sheet, and it's enormous. I'm probably not going to be able to get to all of them, but I'm going to try and get to at least the major ones. Then we're going to start putting some of the winners against each other in hopes that eventually, okay, and like I said, I may not do an individual show for all of those, the second round type of things. We'll see how it goes. Maybe I will. Okay, maybe I will. That'd probably be fun, right? I'm sure I'd get a kick out of that. But we're going to start pitting all the winners against each other to eventually find a single live album that you all have voted for as your favorite. So who's it going to be? Is it going to be Deep Purple's Made in Japan? Is it going to be Kiss Alive? Is it going to be Yessongs or Welcome Back My Friends from ELP? Is it going to be Allman Brothers, The Fillmore? Is it going to be Humble Pie rocking the Fillmore? Is it going to be Led Zeppelin Song Remains the Same? Is it going to be Rolling Stones, Get Your Yayas Out? Is it going to be Thin Lizzy Live and Dangerous? Is it going to be UFO Stranger in the Night? Okay. Is it going to be Little Feat's Waiting for Columbus? Is it going to be Judas Priest Unleashed in the East? Iron Maiden's Live After Death? Ozzy Osbourne Speak of the Devil? Scorpions Tokyo Tapes? Is it going to be, Foghat Live? I mean, who the hell knows, people? These are just some of the albums that you're going to see in the weeks to come. All right. So again, for all of you who are I'm getting bombarded on the Facebook page and in the comments of the videos of all these combinations you want to see. And don't forget this live, and don't forget this. All right, I don't think you need to do that because my list is extraordinarily long already. And as far as the combinations that I'm going to do, I'm going to try to be as intelligent about the choices as possible. But remember, folks, these are not going to be absolutely drop-dead perfect matchups. There are some. I'm still getting comments daily from people that are like, "Oh, yeah, these are two great live albums, but not really a fair comparison. I would have chosen this, and I would have chosen that." Well, you know what? We're never going to agree on the choices. It's never going to happen, right? So, I'm trying to pick artists and albums that are maybe released around the same time and maybe in the same genre, stylistically maybe sort of the same, but they're never going to be perfect matchups, okay? Like someone asked me yesterday, it's like, well, who are you going to match up against Santana's Lotus or Moonflower? I don't know a lot of other bands that are like them. Well, you know what? You're not going to get another Latin rock band, all right? It's just not going to work out that way. You're going to get Santana probably against another either San Francisco band or another band who was kind of part of the early rock scene around that time, okay, that released a cool live album. It's just the way it is, right? Not going to be absolute perfect matchups. So you're just going to have to just stop trying to be so granular about it all and just say, hey, two kick-ass live albums by two rock bands, regardless of whether one is more of a heavy rock band, one's more of a psychedelic rock band, one's, whatever. Just have fun with it, people. All right? So we'll see you again tomorrow with another classic live album war. Visit us on the web at www.seatranquility.org. We're on Facebook. Go and vote. We're on Twitter. Check it out. But more importantly, come back here each and every day. Tell your friends. Share some of these posts, all right? And subscribe. Come back every day, and we'll see you tomorrow. Take care. Bye-bye. Have a good one.